Have you ever wondered why, even though you're intuitive, empathetic, and deeply connected, you ended up in a toxic relationship? Why does it seem like you attract so many narcissistic men? Do they truly admire your light, or are they trying to extinguish it? It seems paradoxical. You live with love, authenticity, and purpose. Yet still, you attract people who appear to exist only to manipulate, control, and hurt. This isn't random chance. It's a pattern. And today, we're going to uncover why the most spiritual women are exactly the type of person that both scares and fascinates a narcissistic man. My name is Lauren Mitchell, and my purpose with this channel is to show you that the problem was never you. Join our growing community, subscribe to the channel, and hit like. I count on your support. The spiritual woman doesn't just live by faith. She lives in harmony with something greater. Her intuition is sharp. Her connection to the unseen is real. She hears more than words, senses what lies behind a gaze, and often acts before even understanding why. She doesn't need explanations to know when something is wrong. She doesn't need justification to feel when an energy doesn't resonate with hers. She's guided by compassion, but also by discernment. That's why her presence is rare, unique, disruptive. Meanwhile, the narcissistic man builds his life on appearances. He speaks with charm, acts confidently, and seems to have everything under control, until you begin to see beyond that, until you notice the emptiness behind the facade, the fear behind the control, the insecurity behind the bravado. He doesn't run from you because he's strong. He comes toward you because he senses you're capable of seeing what he tries to hide, and that terrifies him, and at the same time, fascinates him. This attraction isn't casual. It's a collision between two opposing energies, one seeking truth, the other thriving on lies, one that illuminates, the other that tries to extinguish. That's why he came, not for love, not for admiration, but because your light forced him to see himself, and for him, that is unbearable. Now let's explore the reasons why spiritual women attract narcissists. First reason, she sees beyond the mask, and that frightens the narcissist. She doesn't need many words to understand who he really is. A glance, a pause, a subtle shift in energy. It's as if her body knows before her mind can process it. The narcissistic man enters her life with charm, promises, and perfect smiles. But she senses something different, a dissonance, a falseness he tries to hide even from himself. He's used to being admired by those who only see the surface, but she isn't satisfied with appearances. She sees the wounded boy behind the control, the fear behind the bravado, and this gaze, this clear perception, strips him bare more effectively than any direct criticism could. That's why he feels both fascinated and threatened, because she sees what no one else sees, what he himself avoids facing. At first, he tries to seduce her with stories, calculated affection, carefully chosen words meant to strike exactly where she resonates. He wants to be understood by her, but he's not ready to change, not ready to face what she reflects back to him. And then, when he realizes she truly understands him, genuinely, he begins to pull away, to attack, to try to extinguish that light that makes him feel exposed. Because he isn't afraid of losing her. He's afraid of being forced to confront himself. She doesn't judge, she simply feels. She doesn't confront. She simply exists with such authenticity that he can't lie to himself around her. That's the first reason he came. Not for love, not for admiration, but because in her presence, he can no longer keep pretending. Second reason, he feels threatened by her light and tries to put it out. The spiritual woman has a unique way of existing. She doesn't need to prove anything, nor occupy much space. Her presence is gentle, yet deep. Her gaze calm, yet penetrating. Her energy vibrates at a frequency he cannot imitate, and that unsettles him. At first he approaches her like someone seeking salvation, as if she were the answer to something empty inside him. But it's not love that moves him. It's need. A need to be seen by someone who seems to look beyond the surface. But he isn't willing to change. He isn't ready to face what she reflects back to him. And so, instead of transforming, he decides to destroy what makes him feel vulnerable. That's why he starts undermining her confidence, dismissing her perceptions, telling her she's imagining things, being dramatic, that she needs to stop feeling so much and start thinking more rationally. He knows her greatest strength is her intuition. That's why he tries to smother it. He wants her to doubt herself, to ignore what she feels, to stop listening to her own voice, because as long as she remains connected to her truth, he cannot have complete control over her, and the narcissist cannot tolerate losing control. So, he uses every possible means to extinguish her light, through manipulation, sarcasm, indifference, emotional abandonment, all with the goal of making her stop shining so brightly near him. But it's not because she is weak, it's because she is too strong. So strong that he can't compete, dominate, or deceive her. She doesn't need lies to exist. She lives in truth. And that truth, even when silent, is what terrifies a man who built his entire life on illusions. Third reason, she believes in his potential, and he uses that against her. She doesn't just see what he is, she sees what he could be. While the world sees a cold, controlling, distant man, she senses the wounded boy behind the mask, the broken heart, the child who was never loved the way he should have been. And this deep, compassionate vision leads her to approach not with judgment, but with hope. She believes in redemption, not as an abstract concept, but as a real possibility. She has seen her own transformation, felt the weight of the past, and still chose to move forward. So why wouldn't he be able to do the same? This faith isn't blind. It's intuitive. It comes from within. It rises from the place where she knows everyone carries a divine spark, even those who seem to have completely lost touch with it. But he isn't seeking redemption. He's seeking worship. He's looking for someone who sees in him what he himself cannot reach, without having to change anything about himself. That's why he clings to her, not because he wants to improve, but because he wants to be admired by someone who seems to see everything, by someone who seems to know the truth about him, yet still continues to believe. He feeds off her belief. He lets her see him as a visionary, a healer, a man destined for something greater. But he does nothing to live up to that vision. On the contrary, he starts using her. He uses her love as justification to remain stagnant. He uses her faith as a crutch to avoid facing his own shadows. And every time she offers unconditional love, he interprets it as permission to stay the same. Every act of compassion becomes relief. Every gesture of patience becomes freedom to keep running from himself. She gives everything hoping he will awaken. He takes everything certain that he can keep sleeping. Because he doesn't need salvation. He needs someone who keeps believing he deserves to be saved, without him having to do anything to deserve it. Fourth reason, he knows she will forgive more than she should. She doesn't hold grudges, not because she doesn't feel pain, but because she chooses not to carry unnecessary weight. To her, forgiveness isn't weakness. It's her nature. It comes from a deep, almost sacred place. She understands that everyone carries wounds, that no one acts out of malice without first being hurt, and that's why, even when she suffers, she finds space in her heart to release resentment. But he sees this as an opening, as something he can use, and he does. He knows that, no matter how much he hurts her, she will try to understand, that she will give him another chance, that, on some level, she will continue to believe he can change, even after all the times he didn't. And so he repeats the same patterns, the same empty promises, the same cycles of closeness and withdrawal, because he learned that no matter how far he goes or how much he hurts her, she'll still be there. Her emotional resilience doesn't make him reflect. Quite the opposite. It encourages him to push further, to test how far this kindness can go, how far this unconditional love won't break. It's as if each act of compassion becomes an invitation for him to hurt her again, confident that he'll be met with acceptance. And so, he begins to exploit this cycle, feeding his own need for control. He doesn't respect her forgiveness. He only respects the fact that it exists, and that he can use it as a shield against any accountability. She, in turn, keeps offering love, thinking she is healing him. But he is only reinforcing his belief that he can hurt without consequences, because he's not here to heal. He's here to find out just how far he can go, without losing someone who can truly see the truth in him. She keeps believing that, with time and patience, he will come to understand her value, but he already does. He just refuses to acknowledge it. She forgives, he abuses, she waits, he delays, and the cycle repeats itself until she wakes up, until she realizes that her forgiveness doesn't have to be limitless, that her kindness shouldn't be mistaken for submission. And when she finally decides to stop reaching out, he feels the ground vanish beneath his feet. Fifth reason, he wants to use her intuition and values to escape accountability. She feels before she understands. Her intuition is her compass, an inner guide that connects her to what lies beyond the visible. She doesn't need logical explanations to know when something is off. She knows how to read between the lines. She perceives what was said and what was left unsaid. It's exactly this ability that scares him, and that he tries to twist. At first, he approaches her as if he needed her to find himself, as if she were the only one truly capable of understanding him. He says she sees things in him no one else has seen, that she understands what he can't even put into words. But soon, that admiration turns into manipulation. He starts using her own words against her, Her spiritual insights become tools of control. Her perceptions are reframed as projections. Her truths are mocked as illusions. He says things like, "You're projecting," or "You're listening to too many voices," or even, "This is all just a story you made up in your head." And with that, she begins to doubt herself, what she felt, what she perceived, because he speaks with such conviction that, for a moment, she actually believes she might have imagined it all. The worst part? He uses her own deepest values against her. Compassion becomes passivity. Forgiveness becomes permission. Spiritual connection becomes emotional confusion. He knows she won't react with violence, won't retaliate with hatred, won't use her against him the way he uses her. And that's exactly what he counts on. The belief that, because she is spiritual, she won't leave him or demand real change, because he doesn't want to change. He just wants to maintain control. And for that, nothing works better than stripping her of confidence in her own inner voice. She, who always knew how to listen to the truth within, begins to silence herself, not because she stopped feeling it, but because he made her doubt her own clarity. That's the cruelest blow. Not rejection, not the lie, but the deliberate disconnection from her own inner wisdom. She thought she had lost something essential, that by the end of that relationship, she was no longer the same person who entered it. She felt her intuition had been silenced, her compassion turned against her. Her unconditional love hadn't transformed anyone, only hurt her. But the truth is different. She didn't lose her light. She simply learned how to protect it. She didn't lose her connection. She just realized not everyone deserves to hear her truth. She didn't become hardened. She became wiser. The experience didn't erase her. It refined her, gave her a new tone, a new clarity, showed her that she wasn't weak for feeling everything so deeply, but strong for surviving its weight. The narcissistic man didn't come to destroy her, but to test her resilience, to see how far her kindness could go without being corrupted, to find out whether she truly believed in her own truth. And even amidst pain, even with scars, she remains, listening, feeling, existing, because she isn't just spiritual. She is a guardian of light, and no shadow, however persistent, can extinguish that. Now she knows how to discern who deserves her energy, how to recognize when someone tries to feed off it, and above all, she knows that her greatest power lies in staying connected to her own frequency, no matter who crosses her path. And even though it hurt, even though it left marks, this experience didn't erase her. It revealed her. It showed who she is when everything is taken away. Someone who still feels, still believes, still rises. If this video touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear how you're reconnecting with your own light. Also, in the description of this video, there's a link to support materials created with care to help you reframe what you've experienced, strengthen your self-esteem, and move forward with more inner peace. It's definitely worth checking out. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. We post new videos every day. The recommended video on the screen right now might be exactly what you need at this moment. Watch it and find out. Remember, you are light. Never forget to shine.